Okay, back again. I'm just going to try to adjust this just a little bit to try to get a better angle, because I'm going to be using that handpiece over there. I've had a lot of people ask me, Steve, I've noticed you doing some how-to videos. Do you mind showing me how you cut the lock cut on the locks that you were on the frame locks that you were making? And I said, well, if I can find a moment to take a little time to do it, I'll do that for you. And today I'm down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I've got 6 pocket clips left. That's good. So that means I'm fairly caught up, which doesn't put me too far behind, and I won't have anybody calling me or mailing me wanting to know why they haven't seen something they were waiting for. Now I'm hoping you can see this. See this from where I'm standing. This is a knife that supposedly Steve was making. That's me. It's been taking me a while because I am so moody about making knives. I have to be with it and really there. And I get so sidetracked on other things, and I married high maintenance, so I have a honey-do list from hell usually in the morning when I get up. And you know, the pocket clips and the pry bars keep me hopping, and most days that's where my focus is, so I just don't have time for knives anymore. But these are just some water jet pieces that were cut out. And I'm not sure what the thickness, the final thickness on this was when we found what I wanted. It's right at 0.90. So it's not quite the 0.100 that I wanted, but it's close. And we're going to make an inside lock cut. And this is just the way that I did it, okay? Now, it doesn't mean that this is the right way. I tended to look at all ways. I'd learn one way with the milling machine, using the cutter on the drill press, in another way. And both ways worked. They worked, but they took forever. And I just did not have time for that. You know, it was like, if the wife says, I want to go to Big Lots at noon, and you got 2 hours to spend in the shop, you want to get as much done as you can get done in the time you got. What I used, and what I still would use if I was showing somebody, are these Mizzy heatless wheels. Now you can buy these. My God, they're cheap. They don't heat up like a lot of things. And you can use them in different sizes. This is a quantity of 20. It didn't cost me very much money. $8. These were bought from Auto Fry. I don't know how to say that. Maybe you can see that. But they're just little wheels that go on your Dremel. Now, what I was doing was I was just taking a Fordham handpiece or something of that nature, and I'm just looking at the inside where I want to put a lock cut, okay? Now sometimes you don't need a lock cut, and a lot of guys like that, but that's still pretty stout to be moving that piece of metal without a lock cut in it. It can be done, and I've got folders out there where guys wanted it that way, and they like it. But some of the others I did for people, they didn't like it. They thought it was too stiff. So what I would do, I'm going to try to stand while I do this. What I would do is I'd start a lock cut with this Mizzy heatless wheel right back here where this hole's drilled, and I'd just kind of let it dig in. And you can do this barehanded. It doesn't get hot. I mean, if you take your time and let the wheel do the work, you'll be surprised just how fast and how much control you actually can have with one of these wheels. They call them heatless wheels. We used them in dentistry, okay? You have to realize my background was in dentistry, so a lot of the things that I had to use to finish products were all dental tools. Well, these things not only cut fast, but they're heatless. And when you're working on something like metals and gold and stuff like that, well, you've got reasons why you don't want it to heat up too much, you know, because if it sits there and melts after you spent countless hours on it, you're not going to be very happy. But I'm just going to show you a quick way you can do this. And you can move around a lot more. You can control exactly where you're putting it. You can see everything you're doing. And I've already made far more progress here, making a lock cut than I would make if I set up all that stuff on that vise and all that stuff on the drill press to do this. Now, if you notice, I'm just letting the cutting wheel do the job. I'm not really pushing it that hard. It's not making a lot of mess. And what you've got is a choice after you do this, because you can clean this up even. You can use, what I used was these Kratex wheels, and you can buy them even in the same diameter as the wheel you're using to cut your lock cut. And so you basically match them up. And you can fit them in there, and they'll polish that up a little bit, and then when you bead blast it, you can't even really see the lines from where you cut. The way I did them, you have a hidden lock cut, so it's thinned it down enough to where you can now really bend that a lot easier. And so you could bend it now, and the people that look at the knife are going to see this. They're not going to see a lock cut. Well, that's just the way I did it on a lot of them. On some of them, you know, it did show. And then I used to do it a couple of ways, because you can cut straight up and down. Make a couple of cuts, 3 cuts if you want. I did it all different ways, just playing with it. The routine, you can use the bigger sizes if you want to. There's really a lot of advantages. As you can see, that thing started out in a 5/8 diameter, and it didn't eat away a lot of that stone, and it made a pretty good little cut there. I don't know how deep that is, but I can tell you it's not .090 anymore. It's probably, I would say probably closer to .070 at the thickness in the middle there now. And it really weakened it enough to where now if I spring it, you know, it's not so hard on a thumb. Anyway, that's the way I did it. And I managed to clean those up when they're on the inside. I don't know, you know, I've never tried. I don't like lock cuts on the outside on frame locks because of the pocket clip situation, because I had so many people complaining to me when I was making them. To flipping clips and stuff, where those lock cuts that were on the outside, sometimes, not all of them, if they're sweeping half moon shapes, they slide and glide over the pocket better. But those real sharp corners, the deep, sharp 90-degree cutoffs on the angles, those caught pockets, and a lot of people didn't like that. And some of those caused people to drop their knives, and they'd ask me, to correct that. So, yeah, it might work if you wanted to put the lock cut on the outside, and you could probably clean it up to look pretty good. I never had any problem. You can look at some of the knives I made that are out there. I'm not doing a lot of frame locks anymore. In fact, this one's taken me 2 years to do, and I'm not even anywhere near on it. All I seem to like anymore are these little slip joints. I mean, I can do these, and I seem to be motivated and enjoy them. This one's got some of my blue jean scale, the homemade micarta on it. But the frame locks, they're a question for a lot of people because they don't know what to use to make that lock cut. And you can use any number of things. I've seen people use cutting wheels that have teeth. So there are several things. I used several different drums and stuff like that you buy that went on drill presses. I tried all that. They did work. They took a long time. A lot of times on some of the belts that were, heating up, I'd have to pop it off, replace the belt, put it back in, keep going. Then I found these after, it's kind of funny because I knew about these all along. I had been using these back in the 80s when we were in the dental corps in the Air Force. And then we found an old box of dental stuff, and it had some of those in it. And it just, the next thing I knew, my God, that's faster and easier and better than any other way I tried. So, those Mizzy heatless wheels, I think they're called. I don't know if I have a box or not. I should have worn a respirator for that, but you would have never heard me. I'm glad I don't do that very often because these masks don't work. These keystone separating discs are also very good. I use these a lot, and they're very handy, and I find they last a little longer than the ones you can buy that are brown colored at the Dremel displays, Walmart and Lowe's and those kind of places. Those ones would look more like this here, and they're good. They're a little thicker, but they wear down a lot faster. You notice these just last a whole lot longer. Those two are also something from dentistry, and I've just found all kinds of dental stuff that really comes in handy for a lot of the knife work we do too. And I hope some of this stuff helps some of you future makers that are looking to do some things. I don't really have a cure-all, but I know what worked for me and what went fast enough that I could live with it and not feel like I was struggling. Now, you could just as easily put one of those Mizzy heatless wheels in your mill, and if it makes you feel better to use it in the mill, well, that would work. I've never tried it in the mill because it works so good in your hand, but I'm sure it would do just fine if you had a shaft. That would be the problem. It'd be the shaft is just not big enough to really put some sideways pressure in. But when it's in something in your hand and you're able to control that, it just, you saw it went through there pretty quick, and it put a pretty good dent in the middle. Anyway, if I kept going, I used that same technique on .160 titanium and others, and it really made short work of everything I used it on. And I was always able to clean it up to look pretty good, especially after bead blasting. So keep those things in mind. And I got to get something to drink now because I got too much cigar smoke and dust in my shop. Lesson learned.